And then I realized kind of where things were at. And I was like, am I dying? Like, is this actually dying? Because you're kind of in this like haze. And then I'm like, oh my God, I better pay attention here.
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk SADS Live. I want to thank the sponsors of today's podcast, Solid Biosciences, Tenaya Therapeutics, and Thrive Therapeutics. Today's guest is Sally Gilbert. Sally is a busy mother, wife, and dietitian living with her family in Victoria, British Columbia. She was diagnosed with exercise-induced ARVC and was found to be gene elusive. In June 2025, Sally went into ventricular tachycardia at home and was shocked multiple times from her ICD. Sally is here today to share her coping strategies from surviving multiple shocks. She speaks frankly about the fear and anxiety she experienced and how she has moved forward day by day to regain her confidence. Hi, Sally. Thanks for joining me today on Let's Talk SADS Live. You know, you told me a little bit about your story, but I want to hear it in your words. What was your life like before you got diagnosed?
Yeah, so that would have been back in 2021. I was kind of morphing out of the years where my kids required a lot of time and attention, and getting really into bike riding. So I would say sort of between 2016 and 2021, I ramped up more and more road bike riding that I was doing here. So as a younger person, I was very active. I was a competitive swimmer through high school and university. I did master's swimming for multiple years, lots of hiking and different things I would say sort of sustained me through my 20s. My kids probably took more of my time, kids and work, through my 30s and into early 40s. And then I just really, really enjoyed the riding. It really, really worked for me. So that winter before I was diagnosed, I got very into Zwift. And I think that was probably a bit of my undoing. And that Zwift, you just go, go, go. And
what's Zwift?
Mentally, Zwift is like you're on a bike trainer, but it's like a virtual world.
Gotcha.
And if you're someone who thrives off of making themselves very uncomfortable, which I did, then you can really work pretty hard continuously. Mm-hmm. So I was, in a lot of ways, I wouldn't consider myself an ultra endurance athlete in any way, but I was a pretty busy late 40s, early 50s woman who loved exercise.
So my understanding is in the spring of 2021, you got diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
And what were you diagnosed with, and what were you told?
I was diagnosed with ARVC within the first probably 2 days of my initial VTAC event, which was after a Zwift ride at home. Looking back, I probably had a couple of times where I had a non-sustained VTAC while I was riding my bike, but at the time you just think, oh well, I just haven't warmed up properly, or oh, that was weird, and you carry on. And my heart rate was kind of on the high side, but again, I just thought I was working really hard. And then from 2021 through to 2025 has really been this adaptation, disappointment, loss, trying to see the best of things. I got an e-bike that can go on the road or the gravel, trying to join in with my active friends as I'm able to, continue with hiking and getting out there as much as I can. I would still say probably compared to average, I was still quite an active person. I was told at the beginning, my disease is quite mild, and that, as long as I think I remember the fellow saying, he was very thorough and very kind, but like, just keep yourself out of VTAC and you'll be all right. Like, don't worry that, your disease is going to progress. a ton very quickly. Like that's sort of what you need to do. So I think in my mind, I was very tied to not overexerting myself, and that if I overexert myself, the chance of me going into VTAC goes up.
And it sounds like things were going pretty well for you, but then those things changed, right? You had
I think, I had a couple of paced events through. I was trying to remember. I know I had one in the summer of 2021. That was before I got the e-bike. And I think I had one in 2022 or 2023. And then through 2024, which I didn't know about until November, when I went to clinic and had my device interrogated, was that there were 35 non-sustained VTACs while I had been on my bike during that summer. So, I mean, we didn't go through every single date, but they gave me a few, and I was like, oh yeah, that was a bike ride. That was a bike ride. So, it was like, I don't really know what was changing in that time, but something was kind of brewing a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So what?
And I can feel those when I'm on my bike. Like I remember looking at a couple of dates and I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly where I was, kind of thing. And it's sort of like this sort of sharper breath in, but then it would resolve.
Right.
So yeah, so that was November of 2024. My beta blocker got increased, but we just stayed with the beta blocker. And then late November, early December, I was quite sick with whether it was a flu or a cold. I didn't really want to take decongestants, but I did just so I could breathe and sleep. And as I was getting better from that at the end of that week, I went for a walk later in the day. I had inadvertently forgotten my beta blocker that morning. I had had a cup of tea. And I think it was just enough of a perfect storm that walking up a long flight of stairs from the beach, I was just so out of breath. I remember watching my friend walking in front of me and thinking, like, how are you walking so fast? And then, but I kept going and I got to the top, and then I was just like, I need a moment. And I put my hands on my knees and I got shocked. So that's
your first shock.
That was my first shock. Now I know that a single shock is actually not so bad. But a single shock actually, it is horrible. I actually forgot in the first millisecond about my heart, and I thought I had been struck by lightning.
Wow! Oh my gosh! So that gives
even though it was not raining.
Yeah,
there was no storm, but that was my first and then oh shit, and then I was like, I got shocked. I remember, so, but again, it was over. As soon as I got shocked, the VTAC was gone.
Right.
So,
and that first shock was not your last though. So let's fast forward to June this past year.
Yes. So, in June, then in May, I think I got paced on a bike ride at the end of April, which took me back to clinic at the beginning of May. And that at that point, it was like, hey, we really need to do something different here. I think I would have been willing to say like if you don't think I should ride my bike, I won't ride my bike. But we got to the point where adding an antiarrhythmic felt like it was the best idea. So I was started on Sotalol, and through May, I still rode my bike a little bit less. I felt very, very suppressed. Like overall, the beta blocker effects were challenging for me. And then through until a bike ride again on June 13th, where again, in retrospect, maybe not my best preparation, but didn't drink enough water, probably went a little too long, but my heart rate was low. It was only like 107 going into it, but I had gone up a hill and I got to the top and I was like, this is not right. And I got off my bike and I sat on the ground and then I got shocked. So So that was my second single shock.
Right.
But again, shocked, done, over.
Appropriate therapy
Appropriately
for
shocked.
the situation you were in.
Yeah, sat for a couple of minutes, got up. I was with one person, but we walked my bike to a friend's house that was close by, and I think got a ride back from there. So again, kind of a one and done.
Right. So you've had, so a lot has gone on, diagnosis, worrying about your kids, getting these 2 appropriate shocks, but that really wasn't the end of it, right?
No.
Let's just turn up the volume here.
Let's get going. So then that took me to clinic on the 16th, the Monday, where I saw a different electrophysiologist EP, and we changed from the sotalol to the flecainide. He looked at it and felt that was a better match for me for the type of VTAC that I was having. And I was happy with that. The effects of the generalized beta blocker were hard for me. I kind of have a Raynaud syndrome, so the blood flow and everything was really challenging, and the breathing. So I was really happy with that. Went through Tuesday and Wednesday and into Thursday, and on the flecainide and the half beta blocker dose I was on, and then just walking up a hill, I got paced. I didn't exactly know what it was at that time. On the Thursday, spoke with the clinic, supposed to get a call back, didn't get a call back from the doctor. And then I think that despite the fact I felt very unstable and not good through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, especially Sunday, I have a stubborn way, I think, of thinking about my own health, despite the fact that I have a defibrillator in my chest and I know I have a heart condition for 4 years, that somehow I'm going to be okay. Going to ER, they won't have anything to do for me. I just need to wait it out, all of these thoughts. And I was supposed to go Monday morning anyways for a follow-up ECG. So I think I was just in this one track mind of the doctor was supposed to call me. He hasn't called me, so they're not worried about me. So I'm not going to go make, a situation bigger by going to the ER, and I'll just wait it out. And then on the Sunday evening, I had a shower because I was actually going to go to an event that evening. And I think the heat of the shower that was just the very final straw that tore it apart. Really felt. And so I got out of the shower and I was just from the ensuite to my bed, and I sat down on my bed and I got shocked. And I think that first one was just like, oh my God, like I wasn't even doing anything.
Yeah.
And then the second one, and then the third one. And I don't know how much time is in between each one. Sometimes it was probably like 10 seconds, and sometimes it was probably a minute or two. Fortunately, I wasn't at home alone. I actually had been at home alone a lot of that day because there was a rowing event going on that my family was all involved with. So at that point, 2 of my kids were home. So one called 911 and as I was getting shocked. And so it was just horrible. It was absolutely, it was terrible and terrifying. And I think now in retrospect, you're just trying to hold on to hoping that it's not going to happen again, but you can still feel that you're in VTAC.
Yeah.
It, like, compared to the 2 single shocks where it's cleared.
Yeah.
And done, it's not done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't know what to do to try and make it better. Like, so I was almost frozen. I mean, again, in retro, very lucky. It was at home. It was on my bed. Like, I'm not even outside on the concrete or anything, right? I'm on my bed. And I ended up with 9 shocks at home before the paramedics got there. The paramedics came and started the IV, I think, of what do they usually start? Amiodarone, I think. Yeah. And I think it made a bit of a dent. And I mean, and I don't know, like, what was my ICD doing at that time? Was it pacing me? Was I low enough that it wasn't pacing me, or was it continuously pacing me? Yeah, but somehow we did get me to the sit stretcher down the stairs to the actual ambulance stretcher on the driveway without any more shocks, which was pretty remarkable, because I was dead set that if I moved, I was going to get shocked.
Yeah, you just don't want to move at that point. You're like, don't touch me, don't move me. Just let me be. Want this to stop.
And especially don't ask me what my personal healthcare number is.
Yeah.
One paramedic, poor guy, who was like, "Are you sure you don't know where your purse is?" I'm like, "I don't know where my purse is." But I mean, it's an interesting thing, as you know, being in VTAC, when you're conscious.
Yeah.
And I'm alternately telling my daughter to take the chicken out of the oven while all of these things are going on and different things. So it's an interesting feeling, that's for sure. But and one of the paramedics, they're all great as well, but she was pretty convinced that I will have run out of all of my battery of my ICD and I won't get shocked again. And I'm like,
yeah,
like, no. I had 12 years before today. I really don't think I've gone through it all. So.
Right.
Yeah. So we did get through a fair bit of the ambulance ride without being shocked, but then I did get shocked twice more in the ambulance. Well, I think in total, actually, I got shocked 7 more times in the ambulance.
Wow.
But between shock 2 and 3, they gave me ketamine, which essentially knocked me out. So I think it was on the 3rd shock that I remember I'm not here anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
A lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
You and I have shared this. I've been through 2 cardiac storms like you have described, where you just have this run and your defibrillator just keeps continuously firing. And all you want, alternatively, I feel, is for it to stop, but keep you alive. Mm-hmm. So you're having this, stop shocking me, and I don't want to die, because consciously I was also aware I needed the shocks, but I just wanted the shocks to stop.
Yeah. And I think I was in this, like, I'll be okay in VTAC. Just stop shocking me. Yeah. So, so the ketamine trip was quite a thing. And coming out of that in the ER, by the time I came out of it, they had stabilized me with the IV. Another Esmolol, I think, was what really stabilized me there. So aside from the coming out of the ketamine, I definitely I remember such specific things about that time. And the 2 nurses above me, their faces were all caricatures, but I think you're just so floaty, your brain. And then I realized kind of where things were at. And I was like, am I dying? Like, is this actually dying? Because you're kind of in this like haze. And then I'm like, oh my God, I better pay attention here. Like,
wow.
And so I remember, and I'll remember their names and faces always. And Michaela, the nurse, she was just like, what are you worried about? And I said, I'm worried I'm dying. Like, is this dying? Yeah. And she's like, look at my face. Do I look worried? Is this a worried face? And I'm like, no. And she's like, I am not worried that you're dying. You don't worry that you're dying, kind of thing. And she she was like rubbing her thumb on my, like between my thumb. Like I will always remember it, and I will always appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like it was just like my little link to the world.
Yeah, that connection, that touch
Mm-hmm.
that she gave you to ground
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was that. And then, then there's all the things that are going on in ER. My potassium was very low, which I think it probably had been since the bike ride, the over week before. With the Sotalol, I think I depleted it and it never came up particularly. And so they were fully on getting that back up, and my magnesium was a bit low. And I mean, I have nothing but gratitude for everyone at the hospital. So I was admitted to CCU. My nurse on the first night, James, was amazing. He just came in, and like, these are the little things you remember.
Yeah.
If there's any healthcare workers, like, he just sat in the chair and like, he kind of put his leg over the chair, and he was like, "You've been through a lot tonight," kind of thing. Like, just that he took the time for that. I don't know. It just felt very, very caring, very reassuring kind of thing. The other thing that was totally reassuring then was like, so they had put a magnet on my ICD, taped it down because it was still active, and there was this faint beeping noise coming from it to say like it's off. And he was like, "Wow, that's going to be hard to sleep through." And I was like, "No, I need to hear that sound.
It's off.
I need to know that it's off." And so I actually slept with the blankets off of that, so that I could still hear that sound.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've been in a similar situation. They actually gave me a magnet. They're like, "Here, it's right here." Just
right.
It has been studied, and that the recovery is hard from getting multiple shocks. That it can create PTSD. Would that be something that you think you experienced?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my EP that I had seen the week before was fortunately on procedures that week. So I saw him later on that Monday after his full day. He came in and he planned to do an ablation with me the next day, added me onto his slate for the next day. We didn't talk for long because he'd already been through a whole day. And I was like, you just go home. You go home and sleep and eat. And you got a big day tomorrow. So, but really from that day onwards, just any little thing that was a surprise, or just like anything unexpected. It wasn't too bad in the hospital because you feel so many layers of protection around you, especially when I had the Esmolol drip going. It wasn't too bad there, but really after that, PTSD, or an acute anxiety response, was definitely just the hugest and hardest thing to overcome.
Where do you feel like you're at now? I mean, it's.
I think, I think that, if like 10 out of 10 is that high alert level for like every little thing in life, which I think I came out of the hospital probably at least at a 9. I think I sit more like at a 2 or 3 now. I would say that probably my normal before this is well below average. Like going through this made me realize I don't have direct experience with anxiety.
Right.
You think, oh yeah, everyone gets anxiety. I realize now, like I previous to this, I have not had anxiety.
And so how did you lower it from like a 10 to a 2? I mean, and this hasn't been that long. I mean, this is
been, I think I'm just over 3 months now, 3.5 months. And I think that in some ways, and it's helpful, I think, I mean, most people with ARVC, ACM have been very active people. They've taken chances. They've put themselves out there, in different ways, through sports or activities, that you somehow need to summon that inner, like, that I can do this. I'm going to find the courage to do this, and channel it into just getting back to more normal life. Like, so yeah, before I would have tried to do this segment on this bike ride at this pace and all of these things. And now I need to try and be able to walk on the flats.
Okay.
I think is probably like where my, like, that inner, like, kind of resiliency came from. And it's humbling, and it sucks that you used to get to be this active person who is trying to do these things that, everyone, like, oh, wow, that's so amazing. And now you're just like, now I'm trying to walk on a road that I didn't even know how to hill. But I think I'm also lucky that I work with kids and families who their kids have special needs or disabilities. And, I've been around people for a lot of my life who haven't had the privilege of having the health I've had. So I think having at least the 4 years between diagnosis and this huge event was helpful for me to be able to make some steps to just trying to get back to normal living. So I think I approached it. I mean, I didn't do anything that was really like structured or routine, which might help some people. But I didn't do anything that was like, that I wrote down, that it was like, okay, today I'm going to try and walk this far, and then tomorrow I'm going to try and walk this far, or I'm going to do this or that. I think I felt like that was too rigid for me, and I didn't want to be hemmed into to like having goalposts in that way, or markers. It's just because I was like, I don't need to feel like I need to do anything.
So you're just letting your mind and body just sort of guide you day to day.
Yeah.
What you're ready for it in this moment.
Yeah. So I know that, and each thing I would just try, like whatever domain in life, try and do a little bit more as I went. One of the things that it isn't even anything active, it would have been more around my just my psychological feeling, is to have my first shower, to shower again in that shower was really, really hard. Yeah. It was really hard. So my first shower home, I was going to shower somewhere else. And I thought, no, I just need to do this. This is where I shower. Like I never showered. I just need to do this. So I did. But I tried to change it. I think I had to try and change it so that my mind would think this is different. Yeah. So I had a colder shower than I ever would, because I know that last shower was hotter than I usually would. So it was cold. I probably turned off the water while I was washing my hair. And I've had showers at the hospital. It's not like it was my first shower, but it was the first shower in that physical setting. Yeah. I brought my clothes into the bathroom so that I got changed there. I didn't just go out in a towel. I think I left the door open. And then I made my husband come in the room because I just could not walk out of that, the ensuite into the bedroom. Yeah. And I would say for the next number of weeks to probably month plus, I do things differently around the shower. Yeah. I have a little shower spray that, is a eucalyptus smelling thing. And whenever I get anxious in the shower, I'd make sure I'd sprayed that just so my brain could be like, it's different. It's
something
different.
Positive. Yeah.
Yeah. Some sensory input that takes you out of that last shower before you were shocked.
That's such a great tip. I know
Yeah.
the thing that I did was, and I think it might just be natural, is you just try to avoid the things that you were doing prior to your shocks.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
sometimes
Probably
it's impossible. You need to shower.
Probably if it wasn't showering, I probably would have done that more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's your story really resonates, and I think the tips that you've given are really practical in terms of helping people that might have just experienced a cardiac storm or are fearful even for their first shock. I mean, a lot of people who get these ICDs, they haven't had a shock yet, but they've heard so many things. And it is possible. It is, well, firstly, it's life-saving. We need it. But it's possible to move on. Like you have experienced 2 of these cardiac storms. They were, spaced apart over sort of like, I think 8 or 9 years. So they weren't back to back. But it's possible to move on and to reclaim your life and get back to normal again. But all these steps that you're taking are really practical, and they're really helpful to hear. So I want to thank you for joining us today, and just ask if you have any last words on what you've learned from this. Like, is there a takeaway? Has this changed?
Yeah, I think one thing that's really come to the surface, and it's kind of like sometimes you read things and you're like, oh, that's kind of what I've been thinking or doing, but it just sort of percolates in your mind. And it really was like that like so many different emotions can coexist in your brain, and they're all valid, right? It's like, and especially the ones that I read were like grief and gratitude can coexist, and they do coexist. So at the same time that I am completely devastated and sad about what I went through, and I remember saying that to someone in the early days, was just like, I'm just so sad that I know what that is like. Like, but at the same time, you can be grateful for your ICD.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in those first 24 hours, for sure, it was like the most evil thing that I had. I didn't want them to turn it back on, type of thing. Like, I was like, do you really have to turn it back on? But I can be grateful for my ICD. I can be grateful for all the care that I had, but also be sad and disappointed in the fact that probably a few different things could have happened differently in the lead up to my event, both on the medical front and on my own personal front. That I didn't go to the ER, and who knows, you never know what would have happened anyway. So somehow to try and move on from that, but and then to really look for that inner courage, which is the ability to act even when you're scared. And some people might think like, wow, you did all that in the first month or something, and someone else might look at it and go like, that would have taken me 3 days. And someone else might say that would have taken me 6 months. And all of those are completely okay and valid. They're just trying to keep sort of a loose idea on your own progress, and giving yourself little challenges as you go forward.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. It's just progress, and everyone has their own timeline.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a really illuminating conversation. We shared a lot. I feel for you, what you've been through, what you're going through now. And I really appreciate you spending time with me today. So thank you.
Oh, well, I have always appreciated knowing that you're out there, Heather, for me. So yeah, that's been since 2021. We were linked together.
That's right.
So I can still picture our first phone call.
Yeah. No, it's great. I'm glad we can share this. So thank you, and be well. Thank you.
Too. All right. Take care.